Herbs in Action. Reflections and stories from the Phipps Conservatory and Botanical Gardens Botany in Action Fellows discussing herbs from around the world.
My name is Eli Ward, and I'm a third-year doctoral student at the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies. And my research focuses on invasive plants and their impacts, and in particular, their impacts on soils. And the herb I would like to talk about today is garlic mustard, or Alliaria petiolata. So garlic mustard is actually an invasive plant species that's originally from Eurasia and was first introduced to North America for medicinal purposes. So I wouldn't call it one of my favorite plants, but it's definitely a plant that's widespread in the region where I study. It's found in the understory of forests all over the northeastern US. And it's actually a biennial, so that means that the first year it just puts up a little rosette of leaves, and the second year is when it flowers. So if you see a bunch of just clusters of leaves, you can go and weed it that year, and then it won't flower and seed everywhere. And when it does flower in that second year, it produces white flowers that are small, and it's in the mustard family, which is Brassicaceae, and that family is defined by flowers that are kind of in a cross shape. So in its first year of growth, when it just produces a rosette, it's only about as tall as your ankles. But in the second year, it grows much, much higher when it flowers, and it can get as tall as your knees. So some of the medicinal purposes of garlic mustard, it's thought to be a really good antiseptic. And so people crush it up and they rub it on their cuts and wounds, and it's supposed to make those cuts and wounds heal faster. Because it has that strong, really garlicky smell, another thing that people end up using it for, especially since it's so abundant, is to make pesto. So one of the reasons I chose this invasive herb or weed is because the way in which it can influence soils. So it's actually thought to be allelopathic, which means that it produces chemicals that it puts into the soil that keeps other plant species from growing near it. That's one of the reasons why garlic mustard is such an unproblematic invasive plant, is because it stops any other native species from growing in the same area. The first time I learned about garlic mustard was actually when I was a little kid. Something they made us do in grade school was go out into the forest on these community service days and just pull out as many invasive plants as possible. And I was tasked with the job of identifying and removing garlic mustard. The teachers told us that the best way to go and identify it was to pull it up and smell it to make sure you were getting the right herb.
Herbs in Action is a collaboration between Phipps Conservatory and Botanical Gardens and the Saturday Light Brigade, and is made possible by the Mary Jane Berger Memorial Foundation, dedicated to educating the community about the many benefits and uses of herbs. To hear this feature again, or to learn more about herbs from around the world, visit mjbergerfoundation.org.